What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Friday? Glad to have everybody along. Gonna have a fun show. Sam's back here. Sam's in Manhattan, NYC, in a little different setup for the show this morning. But gonna have a good conversation as you're making your way to Buffalo with a little, a little trip in between, a pit stop in New York City for Survivor Watch Party Wednesday night. But gonna have a fun conversation today about the emergency offensive meeting the Titans had on Monday to save the season and to maybe save Will Levis. We'll talk about this. Easton is in the chat. Why does it look like Austin's been crying? Because I was crying laughing, and it had nothing to do with turtles this morning. It had everything to do with Sam's situation. Will that make it to the air? I don't know. We'll find out. But we're going to have a fun time on this show talking about Nick Holtz having some interesting comments in his press conference on Thursday. We'll play some video for you guys from that. We'll talk about the Bills game a little bit and wrap up this week with Ain't That Good News. Sam, welcome in. Hope you've had a good week. Let's get it going.
Yeah, man, I leave Nashville. I head to New York City. It feels like I miss all a little bit of fun drama going on in Titans world right now as they try and figure out what the heck they're doing. But it definitely feels like the rubber's about to meet the road, and Buffalo is the first test of exactly what the Titans have changed, what they've deviated from, and where we go from here. So it's a great show to talk about before this Buffalo game to figure out what our expectations are for this team, talk about this mysterious team meeting, figure out if it matters. It's going to be a good show. Before we get into it, everybody watching, share the show this morning. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button in the bottom right corner. Watching on YouTube, take that YouTube link, send it to a friend, a group chat, a Titans fan, or a football fan in your life. Let them know A to Z Sports is live, talking ball. Sam's in New York with a weird setup, but here we go. The show must go on. It's a good Friday morning.
It is. Let's get it going officially. Welcome in the A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, and one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com. And we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Link to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon or online, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, and do that by getting a quote using our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And TDOT, be part of the solution to end littering across Tennessee by visiting nobodytrashestennessee.com. So, Sam is going to the game on Sunday, covering Bills hosting the Titans in Buffalo, but currently in NYC in Manhattan. Sam, describe your Manhattan hotel experience if you want, if you choose.
Yeah.
I'll let you explain it as far as you want to get into it. It's on you.
Yeah, so I do see the chat is coming from my neck a little bit, saying I look a little rough this morning. I'm not going to shy away from that. It is not my most camera-ready morning, guys. Not my fault. Was not a difficult night last night. I went to bed early. I was ready to go for the show. I was well prepared. But my hotel was not. My hotel situation is not exactly what I signed up for when I booked the hotel. And so I am in a room right now. I maybe 25 square feet, Austin. It's very crammed. It's very tight. I'm sharing it with somebody else. So one of my friends, they left to give me an opportunity to record. I thought it was going to be 2 bedrooms with a shared living space, and instead is a shared room with another bedroom that is being shared. And a shared living space of a strange couple that I do not know. And by the way, right now, I'm not making this up. Don't start laughing again. I am smelling cigarette smoke coming through my door. So it's chaos. We're SIGs inside, apparently. This is rough. Luckily, as soon as we wrap up the show, I'm getting in the car and I'm going to Buffalo and I'm getting the heck out of here. I want to leave this city as quickly as possible. And that's where we're at. So respectfully, hang with me, chat. This is not my fault. You're lucky I'm here with you talking Titans this morning. Be appreciative of what you got.
That's why I looked like I had been crying before the show started. And and Sam called me yesterday. He was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the show tomorrow. And I was like, why? And he explained this. I said, no, you're absolutely doing the show
That
tomorrow
makes
in
it so
this
better.
situation. Yes. Oh my gosh. All right. So the good thing is A to Z Sports books Airbnbs for our employees when they travel. So Sam will be going into a nice Airbnb in Buffalo. And so that'll be a lot better for you. All right, so let's dive into this topic today, because Monday, Sam, the show was a lot about what Calvin Ridley said in a locker room blow up that you were a part of, asking questions of the Titans wide receiver who had 0 catches, 0 yards on 8 targets. And that was a big conversation of early in the week. Now, Nick Holtz, the offensive coordinator, was asked about Calvin Ridley early on in his press conference, as the Titans are 1-4, about to go play a Buffalo Bills team that the spread's not in favor of the Titans. I'll say that much. But Tron Davenport asked Nick Holtz about Calvin Ridley and how to get the guy more involved, because the previous week it felt like it was all about DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley and how to get these guys the ball more. So here's Titans OC Nick Holtz asking or answering Tron's question.
Ridley, obviously he had the frustration. He wants the ball early. You guys have all talked about getting the ball early. It was 2 targets. I don't think he got his first one until the second quarter.
Yeah.
What's your explanation for that?
Well, like the second play of the game, he should get the ball, right? He had a slant route on the backside. Second play of the game, the ball should go to him. We get fooled by the coverage and the look. We end up throwing the bubble to the right. And he sees that. And we know Calvin's frustrated and everybody's frustrated. Coaches are frustrated. Will's got frustrated. You know, you go and throw the ball for 90 yards, everybody's going to be frustrated. So it was good for us to sit down, kind of everybody see how it all looked, how it all fits together, and everybody left feeling pretty good about it, or better about it.
The second play of the game, the ball should have gone to Calvin Ridley. Well, Sam, let's take a look at the second play of the game. Shout out Zach Lyons for pulling this on Twitter, as he quote tweeted that exact comment from Holt's press conference from A to Z. Here is the second play of the game. And look, Ridley's at the top of the screen, wide open off the bat for a slant, toss it to Tony Pollard for a loss of 1. And that is not how they drew it up. So I'll just play it again, because the second play of the game, just really quickly, Calvin Ridley open, beating his man, getting inside leverage, and Will Levis had already looked off of him.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play it one more time.
Yeah, it really just looks like Will looks off this too early to me, because had he waited for Calvin to come out of his break out of that slant, that's very clearly there. I think he looked and saw some of the press coverage that was, right at Ridley, and with the pressure that was coming as well, he looked off and tried to get the ball out quick. But maybe an instance where you can wait another half second, try and see Ridley getting out of his break there and get the ball where your primary read is.
And I find this very interesting that it's going into game 6 and the offensive coordinator saying like, oh, the second play of the game was supposed to go to Calvin, and basically he said, we got fooled by the coverage. Nick Holtz using the we, not he or I, but the we got fooled by the coverage. And that can't happen. And so they had what is being called an offensive team meeting to address all of these things. Here's Nick Holtz talking about the Monday offensive team meeting held by the Titans to get everything out there in the open.
We sat down, the whole team, or the whole offense, and watched all the passes on Monday. And we went through them as a group. Line was in there. Everybody, okay, where does everybody think the ball should go here? Where should the protection be? And just so that everybody was on sync, hearing the same voice at one time. We kind of silo some things out. The line goes in their own corner and things like that. So we thought Monday was kind of a chance for us to, okay, whatever happened yesterday, this happened. Let's take a breath. Let's look at it holistically as a group with the players and say, does anybody think the ball should go here? Okay, yes. And kind of walked them all through it that way. And it was a good chance for us to kind of reset, I think, a little bit.
Was there any disagreement in terms of where the ball should go? Any aha moments? And what were some of the common things you all pointed to and said, well, this is the reason why it didn't go the way we all agree it should have gone?
I think it was good for everyone to hear from one voice, O-line included, of, okay, does everyone see this coverage? Do we all see it the same way? And I think that for everybody was the best, that we all sat there, we looked at it. okay, is this a coverage? Is this bad scheme, or did we just lose on the right tackle or the left tackle or something like that? And this is why the ball didn't come to you, just so that everyone can kind of get the holistic view. So I wouldn't say there's any aha moments. I would say it was more just, okay, we all see that. Yep, we were good. So
I think that's interesting, Sam, because we have begin to see and hear Titans fans and some people that cover the Titans and other national people are starting to say, can Brian Callahan do this? Is this a Brian Callahan thing? Is the offense not modernized and not throwing open passing concepts? Or is this a Will Levis problem? And so what were your thoughts on Nick Holtz being very transparent about the team meeting they had for the offense on Monday morning?
I mean, I think it raises a question for me immediately, which is purpose. Like what purpose does this serve the Titans and the coaching staff? But it does sound like they're trying to identify some of those root causes you talk about and identify, is this a coaching problem? Is this a quarterback problem? Is this a receiver problem? Is it an offensive line problem? Maybe it's all of the above and it's, different things in different instances. But that is the initial question that it brings up to me is, what is the purpose of this? And I think that's kind of what we need to get into today.
Okay, I'll ask you a question about your question. What's the purpose of having the meeting, or what's the purpose in telling the media and everybody else that they had the meeting?
What's the purpose of having the meeting? I think, but I also think the follow-up is a relevant question as well.
Yes. Okay, so I have the answer to what is the purpose of having the meeting, and I'll get to that here in a second. But first, I want to tell everybody about our friends at TDOT who spend $23 million every year to clean up our state with litter across the state, because there's 88 million pieces of litter on our roadways, and we can all help by cleaning that up, by making changes to our lifestyle, by stop littering ourselves. That's the easiest thing we can do. The second easiest thing we can do is pick up some litter when we see it and put it in all the different bins placed strategically around the city and around the state. And the third thing is to join local cleanups that are already organized by TDOT. So all you have to do is visit NobodyTrashesTennessee.com, sign up, and show up. And that's a great opportunity for you to invest in the state, just like TDOT does with $23 million spent to clean up the state every year. How can we be a part of the solution to keep Tennessee beautiful? We have so many different rolling hills and beautiful landscapes and everything about this state we can show off. But when there's litter on the side of the road, it's the fastest way to ruin something like that. So Tennessee needs our help, and we can all be a part of that solution by visiting NobodyTrashesTennessee.com. That's NobodyTrashesTennessee.com.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. It's the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. That's up to $1,500 back into your account in the form of a bonus bet, depending on what your first bet wager amount is, even if your first bet loses at BetMGM.com.
All right, so Sam, we talked about the team meeting. So your first question was, what's the purpose of holding an offensive team meeting like this? So I'm going to play a clip from 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, 10-year NFL veteran offensive lineman with the Pittsburgh Steelers, with Will Bowling and Kayla Anderson. And I thought the interesting thing, they just went through the setup of what we just talked about, of the morning Monday offensive meeting. And Will's like, so that's normal, right? And here's Ramon taking it away.
And so that's normal.
Yeah, no, it's not normal.
It's not normal.
It's not normal.
Okay.
You usually, all right, the way these meetings break down, head coach comes in, do his thing, speak about offense, defense, and special teams. From there, you go to your separate meetings. Offensive coordinator talks about what they've done, what you should be doing. All right, break up into your individual. You break up into individual to go over, because it's 11 players that you had to be specific and teaching stuff to. When you come together as an entire unit, like the offensive side with the OC and all the coaches, that's when you're honestly trying to be transparent with everybody inside of that room, and honestly not point blame, but hold responsibility to folks on what they should or should not be doing. You know, when those things have happened, Will, on the teams that I've been with, when it wasn't clicking. When also you're trying to put peer pressure on guys without directly pointing fingers too. Why isn't this working? Like, our situation was a little bit of, all right, the protection wasn't good. The running backs got to be in the right spot. Hey, quarterback, this is where the ball is supposed to go. Why didn't the ball go there? And you try to see if those guys give you a real answer. The accountability side of things. If it's not working, but I know I'm doing my job, then it does become frustrating. And in those moments, you got to feel like you got to let everybody know, I'm with y'all. but this is why it's not working for us.
Sure.
And you put it in front of everybody. And that's what Nick Holtz and them seem like they are doing.
So Darren says it's to point blame on the low in the chat is what Darren said. But I mean, that's Ramon Foster, who's been a lot of a part of these. And he went on to say, like, you don't really get many opportunities to do this in one season.
Yeah. I mean, so here's what's interesting about that, though. Well, with just what Ramon said, he says, if I'm doing my job and it's not working, it is frustrating. And we've seen Calvin Ridley frustrated. We've seen different players frustrated. So unless this meeting is to say, hey, Calvin Ridley, you ran the wrong route. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. I mean, with what Nick Holtz described in that clip that we just watched, Calvin Ridley is not doing something wrong there. So we're having a meeting to make people more frustrated at the fact that they did their job correctly and things went that, like, you know, it feels intentional. It feels like there's intent behind the meeting. And I would like to know, or like that's what gets my wheels spinning. What exactly is that intent? Who is the target audience for this meeting? You know, I don't think this is the Titans coaching staff like, hey, let's air it out. Let's all get on the same page about what's not going wrong. It feels like there's a purpose and they're trying to highlight something. But what are they trying to highlight?
The purpose is Will Levis, unanimous captain, C-patch guy, right? Look at all these guys doing their job. They're all sitting here watching you not do your job. This is that's what I'm taking from it.
So that's what I'm taking out of it too.
Yeah.
Right. Mike, like my follow-up would be like, did we not know that already though?
I think it's what Ramon said. It's just you're doing everything out there in the open. It is an open court session.
So you think this is the Titans coaching staff making a statement to the rest of the offensive roster of saying the quarterback is not beyond criticism.
Yes.
And here's an example of us telling Will in front of the rest of the offense, this is on you. The ball needs to go here. And in doing so, you're hoping to unify your offense a little bit more because you're calling out the problem that Calvin Ridley's thinking in the back of his mind.
And you're also saying, you see how fixable this is?
And potentially, I'll say too, you're justifying your own game plan.
Yep.
Exactly. Right? Like, how I need to get targets earlier in the game. Well, this is a way of showing, Calvin, we're trying. Yeah. And like, so don't believe in the process. Trust the process. Trust us coaches. We know how to get you involved. We know we need to get you involved. Will, ball's got to go there. Ball's got to go to Calvin.
Yeah, and like the Titans specific meeting was for Will Levis basically, and for everybody else to say, hey, the coaches are doing this. It's not that far away. Like, and I think that crazy thing about this Titans season is it's not that far away. And East and I went through this. They have been tied or had the lead at halftime in every game except for the Packers game. And then they've lost it, right? They're minus 21 in the fourth quarter and plus 28 in the other three quarters combined. So like they're not that far away. And this was the second play of the game. The second play of the game, how differently would this have gone if Calvin Ridley gets that football? He's got room. It's an automatic easy first down. But you know what this set up, Sam? If you remember, this sets up 3rd and 3. And do you remember the play on 3rd and 3? It was a swing pass, very much looked like that one to the other side to Chig, and Chig got tackled short of the sticks, and the Titans punted after a 3 and out. But if you go back and look at that, Treylon Burks blocked the wrong guy. Treylon Burks blocked the guy that NWI was blocking. If Treylon Burks blocks the guy that was available to block for him, then Chig has a first down and potentially a lot more down the sideline. But so in play 2, the focus for the meeting was on Will Levis. The next play, the focus on the meeting was on Treylon Burks. And so it's not just like, all right, because Nick Holt said it was the whole meeting. We're watching every pass play. We threw for 90 yards. We're all pissed. Well, let's watch every play because somebody messed up something on every pass play. And on play 2, it was Will Levis. On play 3, it was Treylon Burks. One play down the line, it's probably the right tackle. It's probably the left guard. You know, there's so many different ways it can go. And so I think it's play-by-play specific on on all of this stuff, but I think the majority of the reasoning is for the quarterback who's not throwing the ball to the right spots.
Yeah, certainly. And I guess that's just to our question, right? Because in theory, right, this makes a lot of sense. But what does this mean as far as like matter? Doesn't matter. What can this inspire? What can this do for the Titans? That
Right.
to me is what we're going to find out moving.
So let's ask this question right now. Big deal, small deal, or no deal for Will Levis. This is not the normal way we ask these big deal, small deal, no deals, but for Will Levis, big deal, small deal, or no deal for Will Levis, that the Titans held an offensive team meeting to identify problems. Is it a big deal, small deal, or no deal for Will Levis? I'll post that in the chat right there. I'll also put it up on YouTube. But Sam, I will let some content, some comments roll in here to get the guys more involved in the Facebook and YouTube and Twitch chat. Make sure you hit that like button if you can. Like the show. It goes a long way for us. But Sam, what's everybody saying? Big deal, small deal, or no deal for Will Levis that the Titans hold a rare offensive team meeting to identify these problems? What are you seeing in the chat?
We've got a little bit of a runaway here. We've got a lot of big deals. Wes, Curtis say big deal, a huge deal from Eric. Mario says big deal. Willie, Daquan, Deborah. We got Ramon, Darren, Juan, Daniel, David. Everybody saying this is a big deal for the Titans and for quarterback Will Levis. Yeah, enormous deal even. I have not seen one not big deal answer for the Titans so far. I'm going to scroll, Austin. I'm scrolling. Nick says no deal. I'm sure that it'll help. Small deal from James.
Okay.
But this is like well over 90% of the chat right now is saying big deal or huge deal or enormous deal or large deal or some form of a big deal answer.
Yeah, I see Jay on YouTube says no deal. Jesse says not that big of a deal, which I don't know if that translates into a small deal or not. Last year, everyone acted like Will Levis was him. Henry says Rudolph time is coming soon. And I think that's interesting because if I'll just ask you, what's your answer to the question? Because I've got some other follow-ups on what I think the reasoning behind some of the other answers are. But what is your answer?
Yeah.
Big deal, small deal, no deal for Will Levis?
I think this is no deal.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not really moved by this. No deal in multiple senses, right? Like, number one, I don't think it changes anything. I don't think this meeting and being like, hey, Will, the ball needs to go here is going to suddenly make him throw the ball where it needs to go. I don't think it's a lack of like accountability that's the issue with Will Levis. I really don't think that matters. I don't think it's going to affect their game plan for him. Like, if you're not going to let Will take shots down the field, if you're not going to let him play like him, if you're going to try and bubble wrap your quarterback, and that's how you win games. Maybe you can win games. Maybe you can improve your offense as a whole, but I don't think it's going to change where I believe this Titans coaching staff stands on the quarterback. That last game against Indy and the follow-up answers that we received, it was the most damning thing for me that I don't believe Brian Callahan and Nick Holtz have a ton of faith in their QB right now, whether right or wrong. But I don't think some team meeting is just going to fix that. We'll see what the game plan looks like against the Bills. But until I see a more let it loose game plan and I see Will Levis kind of revert back to what he looked like as a rookie and create some explosive passing plays with his arm, a team meeting does nothing for me.
Okay, so you think it's a no deal because you don't see it changing anything, basically.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, what does this mean? It's a bigger deal for the coaches or a bigger deal for Calvin Ridley than it is for Will Levis, right? If this helps Calvin Ridley buy into the process that's going on in Tennessee right now, then that matters some. If this helps the coaches prove that like their game plan can work, then that matters some. But what does it mean for the quarterback? Like, nothing to me.
Okay. So look, that's where I was like, all right, I want to know the reasoning behind people saying no deal or small deal. So I disagree completely. I think this is a big deal. So you're on a no deal because you don't think it changes anything.
Yeah.
I'm on a big deal because Sam, I think this is a big step chronologically in Will Levis losing his job down the road potentially. So I'm not saying it's guaranteed going to happen.
I can hear what you're saying, like, so that's the other part of my no deal, right? So you would argue, I'm guessing, it's a big deal because it says a lot about the Titans coaching staff potentially putting some blame, some like, hey, Will, we got to do this. Why I'm at no deal is I feel like they already did that. I feel
Okay.
like last week they already did that.
But this is a public, very public, like data point. They are like literally like letting us know they're checking in. And so, like, look, unfortunately, I'm a business owner. Unfortunately, people have been let go from their jobs because that's part of life, right? So the worst thing is if somebody feels blindsided by a situation like that, right? But along the way, when somebody is trending in a poor way, you have to have these moments that you can point back to and say, remember when things weren't going well, we talked about this and nothing came out of it, right? We talked about that and still nothing changed. And so when you get to the decision point that it potentially is down the road of Will Levis, we're sitting you down, Mason's going to start. And then now the coach, you can say along that line, remember, we had this team meeting where the ball's not going where it needs to go. Everybody's doing their job right for the most part, except for you. And that's holding this offense back. It's holding everybody else's well-being back who's out here to do their jobs. So I think this is a big time like checkpoint for the potential benching of Will Levis down the road. Again, it's not a guarantee that he will be benched, but it is something that shows they are not going to blindside Will Levis if he gets benched. This is and this is
but you can have like it.
This is where HR starts building their case. And like, yes, that's a great way to put it too. So I think it's a big deal. It's a big deal that they are saying, hey, we have to have this meeting. This meeting is not normal at all. Normally it's position group specific because you have a lot of details to get into with all different positions and players. And so this is a very big deal because it's not normal. You pull everybody in there, you put it out in the open so you can point back to it down the road if something doesn't change. That's why
I had this meeting with him like privately though, and it wouldn't be a blindside if he got benched. I mean, you have these conversations with your quarterback consistently.
There's levels. There's levels to it, right? Like he is a face. He is a leader of the team, right? Sometimes leaders have to be called out, right? Because if you want everybody else who's being led by a person has to know that they're being held accountable just like they are, right? And so it's a step by, like, of course, they've had so many conversations with the quarterback about ball, you got to go here. You're not doing this right. You're not doing that. But like at some point, it changes. You start to put that, you turn up that Bunsen burner a little bit to make it a little warmer on Will Levis because he has to know that, hey, we've had this conversation in private. Nothing. We're still having the problems. Now we're talking about this in front of the team. Are we still going to have the problems? You've got to get this changed. Like you've got to see some change come out of it.
Yeah, I guess where like I would just differ from you is I feel like that's been clear to Will for a while now. Like I don't feel like he's a guy that has a hard time getting it in the sense of like when they have a meeting with Will, like Will wants to win more than anybody. He wants to do his job well. He's a very, very, very competitive, intense guy. When they have conversations with him and say, hey, ball's got to go here, you're letting us down. He internalizes that. So I don't think like this public display of being, hey, Will, this one was on you is going to necessarily like snap something where he realizes, oh, I'm the problem. I think if the Titans had kept having private conversations and then were to bench him 2 weeks from now, whatever it is, I think Will would understand why he was being benched because they've had these sort of conversations. And in terms of the public step that this is for the Titans, like maybe that's what matters. But like I said, I feel like they've done that already. I feel like the game plan that they brought to the table against the Colts told you everything you need to know about where their trust level lies. The fact that Brian Callahan says, well, winning football games is more important than the quarterback's development. Our game plan is always designed to do what helps us win football games the best. And the game plan is conservative, run the ball, throw screens and check downs and nothing down the field, because that's what gives us the best chance to win the game. That shows you that you don't feel like you have a quarterback that can go win a game for you. And if that's not the most damning public thing that you can say at a press conference without just saying the quarterback is the problem, right? I don't know what is, which I guess is why this is a no deal to me, because I feel like I'm already there. Like I was already there after the Colts game. All of this stuff that this shows me or shows some people, I've been in that headspace since then. Like that Brian Callahan press conference last week was like
the Monday one or the post game?
The one this Monday after the Colts loss. That was the cherry on top for me as far as the beginning of this season that really showed you where everything lies.
Okay. I think you understand my reasoning of why I say big deal. I understand your reasoning of why you say no deal. You just think that Will Levis already knows all this stuff that I'm saying.
I do. Yeah, okay. I do.
I think why I think it's a big deal is because this is a very progressive step forward. And now, because the coaching staff
here would be my follow-up to you. Why do they need to take that progressive step forward? Why is that an important step to take? Because can that step not happen within the organization privately? And what does this potentially unlock for you that like makes this step important?
I think it's so the rest of the locker room is on the same page with the progression, that everybody understands. And Calvin Ridley, right, who's frustrated and pissed and all this stuff and going viral because of how mad he is. Like, he knows very openly the coaches value him. They want him to get the football early on play 2, right? Because what did I say the post-game show? What did I say on Monday? The Colts on play 2 got Michael Pittman Jr. the ball, right? Why aren't the Titans doing this? Well, they freaking tried. And like, that was the whole plan. And so now I'm saying, okay. And so now Calvin Ridley it's the locker room, right? It's the locker room knows the coaching staff knows what they're doing. Stick with us, because either this quarterback's going to have it click or we'll put in a quarterback that will have it click.
Okay.
And so that's why I think it's
and I do think it can be effective in that sense with the,
yes.
like we said, right? Like when you have this sort of disconnect of people who are very clearly upset, a wide receiver that's very clearly frustrated, a lot of noise, right? Because Calvin Ridley's comments then make it all over SportsCenter and, they're all over everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of noise surrounding the discontent and the discomfort and just an unsuccessful offense in Tennessee. It can be helpful to sort of centralize it, because, right, what is a head coach's responsibilities outside of like winning a football game and game planning? You have to be able to maintain your locker room. And Brian Callahan, that is a new test for him as a head coach in the NFL. He's been around successful offenses in the past. Can he call plays on his own is a question, but how does he deal with that while also being a head coach and dealing with head coach responsibilities? Well, I think this is his first test of how do you keep some veterans who are expecting results and production and targets and yards and stats? How do you keep all of those guys patient when your roster and your quarterback have potentially not allowed you to execute things to how you would like?
Yeah, for sure. Because Curtis comes in with a super chat, says Holtz ain't about to let Levis get fired from his dream job. And like, I don't know if being an offensive coordinator without play calling duties is Nick Holtz's dream job. I'm guessing he wants to call plays at some point. Maybe he wants to be a head coach at some point. I don't know. But the point is, yeah, these guys, like, nobody wants a quarterback to waste a year of their career. And when you're looking at guys in their primes on the roster, that's where they know their clock is ticking, because the NFL is not for long. And so remember, the Titans' probably most successful season since I was a kid was after a 2-4 start. And they changed the quarterback, and then they went on a run. Now, I'm not predicting that at all,
No,
but that happened,
I have
right?
a question for you though, too, because this is another interesting aspect of this that I think cannot be overlooked entirely, which is why does Will Levis look like this versus Will Levis as a rookie, right? Like, where is this regression coming from? Is there something to be said about the fact that you installed an offense that, like we've talked about, prioritizes efficiency so much, prioritizes, hey, get through your progressions and get the ball out quick. And then you end up with a player who is doing roll the clip, right? But like it is looking off his primary read quickly, trying to get through stuff, trying to get the ball out, and is not playing to his strengths, is not playing to him. Because if this was Will Levis and this is how Will had looked throughout all of his career, I think you would have it a very open and shut case. The quarterback can't play. But I mean, DeAndre Hopkins knows that Will Levis can succeed because he fed him for 1,000 yards and a bunch of touchdowns last year and really helped them take off when Ryan Tannehill wasn't doing squat, as the starter at the beginning of the year. So what is this regression coming from? I think is a really interesting aspect of this offense that maybe it's just the disconnect between the quarterback's play style and what comes naturally to your quarterback, how your quarterback thrives, and then the type of offense that your head coach wants to run. And maybe it's not an offense that's built for a guy like Will Levis.
Okay. So I will do my best to answer that question here in a moment. But first, I want to tell everybody about our good friends, Farm Bureau Health Plans, because why does Will Levis look like that? That's a hell of a question from Sam, and a good question. So Farm Bureau Health Plans, here's a question. How much money are you paying for your health coverage? Probably not a lot of people know that off the top of their head, but you can save money by going to Farm Bureau Health Plans, fbhp.com/ATOZ. That's where you should turn because they've been helping and serving Tennesseans for over 78 years. And they've had a lot of changes. Like, how different was our world and society 78 years ago? Very much different. And Farm Bureau Health Plans is very much still good at getting you the best health coverage for a rate that's responsible, that's set up for you, your situation specifically. They got you covered right there. So get a quote today by starting at Farm Bureau Health Plans, fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. Let me tell you, go to BetMGM and you can bet. Let me find it. Okay. Bet the house minus 200 on Sam's roommate to burn waffles. That's the latest update we've got, folks. Burnt waffles.
Is this the
not
unintended couple, or is this the intended roommate?
No, this is not the intended roommate. This is the sweet mate.
The sweet mate couple.
Yeah,
burning waffles.
The actual roommate is somewhere across the street at a bagel shop getting a New York bacon, egg, and cheese bagel or whatever. And I'm smelling burnt waffles. So latest update. Okay. It's a lock on BetMGM. I don't know if they offer that, but they do offer up to $1,500 back on your first bet if your first bet misses with the bonus code ATOZ Sports. So whether it's MLB playoffs, hey, I am in New York. The New York Mets and Yankees are playing in the playoffs right now. So yesterday was a fun time around New York City with baseball on everywhere. Whether it's the NFL this weekend, college football, which I have a hot take about college football that I have to fire off later in the show. It's a great time to bet. Bet with BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. Get up to $1,500 back in your form of a bonus bet if your first bet misses.
All right, so Sam, you asked the question, why does Will Levis look like this? And I think Easton and I talked about this some yesterday. If you take away the Atlanta Falcons game, which was an unreal, like, Will Levis, Fran Tarkenton, best NFL debuts in NFL history, right? Like, that's true. So when you take away that game, this is kind of what Will Levis looks like. And the deep passes that we're talking about of him being aggressive, being accurate, making big plays down the field, playing free, it is very similar. Because you look at last year, he had I'm trying to find Easton sent me the data on this. This year, Will Levis has 6 completions on passes, air yards, 20 or more down the field, 6 completions on 15 attempts for 136 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. If you look at the beginning of last year, it was 8 completions, 308 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. That includes the Falcons game. If you remove the Falcons game, it's 5 completions on 18 attempts for 167, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. So last year, sans Atlanta, 5 of 18 for 167, 1 TD, 1 pick. This year, 6 of 15, 136, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. So the completion percentage on those balls down the field is very similar. Traylon Burks is the reason that ball got intercepted against the Jets, right? So not Levis's fault. At best case, it should have been an incomplete pass. So it's not that he looks completely different. It's just that he had a couple games last year where he was just out of his mind, and that skewed our thoughts on him. It was the Atlanta game and the Dolphins game.
I mean, we also had a Calvin Ridley drop that could have been like a touchdown on a long ball against the Jets.
Yeah, but you also counter that out with like an unreal catch from Ridley for a touchdown for 40 yards too.
Sure.
You know? And like last year, he had a hero play, a hero throw, as they call him, to Traylon Burks in Houston, and he dropped it. So like, yeah, there's some give and take there, but like nobody's asking you to complete 75% of your deep balls. It's like a 50-50 thing, right? So I think for me, I just don't think he's seeing the field very clearly. Is this offense right for him? I guess it's kind of down to your question too, is I don't know. But like, I think I brought this up at one point this week. His offense at Kentucky was very much pro style, under center, play action based, right? Was one of the things that Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel said after they drafted him, is like, he is ready to play in the NFL. Well, this is not the same offense of under center, play action, all that stuff too.
They have run a lot of play action. It just hasn't been a ton of under center play action.
Yeah, which is what he did in college. And by the way, Liam Cohen balling out in Tampa right now as the OC.
Doing that exact offense with Baker Mayfield, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is also like the Matthew Stafford Rams style of offense that, Baker showed some flashes in. That Will Levis, is a guy who I've comped to, upside wise, I think, and physicality wise, him and Stafford do have some similarities, at least in what they do well and how they could potentially succeed in an ideal offense. So, yeah, maybe Liam Cohen would have been that was a name that I was really excited by. It's not a huge surprise that Levis had a lot of success with Cohen at Kentucky. I do think people are starting to ask the questions about Will Levis and kind of holding up a magnifying glass to the quarterback and figuring out, were we fools for 1 year? Like, were we duped for half a season, or, what is the norm? And I still think we've got a lot of games left in 2024 to sort.
Everything good?
Yeah. I'm hearing lots of noises running there. This is
okay. I didn't know if there was like burnt waffle smoke coming under your door.
There was like a rat jump scare of like hearing sounds here. I'm hearing sound. We got we'll see. I don't know. We got to power through like 20 minutes of a show, and then
you're getting the hell out.
Go to freaking Buffalo and
yeah. Man, I need to get the heck out of my Manhattan and go to Buffalo. Who said that before? You.
Hey.
All right. Do you want to talk Bills real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right.
We don't have to get into the weeds of the Bills, but like, I think we do have to address the fact that they're 9-point dogs, and yeah. Yes.
Lock in, like the show, as King Visa says. Lock in, hit that like button for us. It goes a long way for us and helps you guys out by having a better conversation, bigger conversation with people in the chat. So let's ask it this way: percentage chance. What percentage chance the Titans have to beat the Bills? And we'll just kind of go through that and see what we come up with. What percentage chance do the Titans have to beat the Bills? Let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who you can trust and who you can turn to. And that's been the Bone and Joint Institute for me the last few years. had a foot injury, had a knee tendonitis issue, was able to turn to them, the experts that they have in Franklin, to help me get that figured out to where I don't feel pain in those spots down the road. So they've been able to educate me on how to help my injuries at home, to not have to spend extra dollars on these injuries by going to more appointments. They limit your exposure to the doctor's office, which is great. Nobody wants to just be in there all the time, but the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn. They've got dozens of doctors there, great physicians, great resources. The rehab, the physical therapy centers has all the tip-top things, and they've got you covered in Franklin online, boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show powered by BetMGM. BetMGM is the sportsbook born in Vegas. Coming up after this question, I'm going to have my favorite bet for Titans Bills as well. So stay tuned for that. Bet it on BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. If your first bet misses, that's 2 chances to win big. It's the best way to do it in this NFL and college football season. The sportsbook born in Vegas, BetMGM and BetMGM.com.
All right, what percentage chance do the Titans have to beat the Bills? What are you seeing from the chat? There's over 100 comments from when I asked the question. What percentage chance do the Titans have to beat the Bills?
People are not super pumped right now. We got 10% from Jake, 2% from Jeff, 10, 2, 0, 3, 15%, 20%, 25%, 20, 30% from IR Hoshi's our new high. More 0, 12, 0, 1, 12%, 20 from Gene. We've got, let's see, scrolling a little bit more, 20%, 6, 1.5, 0.5, 15, 22, 25, 5. A new leader, Jabu at 35 is the new highest percentage. I see another 30 from Brandon and 50 from TK, 49 from Patrick. I don't think I've seen anybody over 50. Dylan just comes in at 75, says it's a trap game for the Bills. But Austin, be generous. What's the highest you could go here?
Like, I think 30% is way too high. Like 20, 25%, probably the highest.
Yeah, I'm at 20% too. And my main reason is I'm not even really worried about that. Let me watch how I phrase this. My reason for being that low is not even the offense and Will Levis and like whether or not that group can figure it out. I do think they'll be points and be somewhat competent. I'm worried about this defense playing Josh Allen. I mean, we haven't really seen the Titans play a real quarterback all year. And you're really getting a real quarterback for the first time on the road while your offense is going through a little bit of an identity crisis right now. That's not the recipe to a successful game for me. Josh Allen, I think, could pick this defense apart. And some of the misses that you maybe saw last week from like Joe Flacco throwing to Ashton Doolin right over the top. I don't know if that happens against the Buffalo Bills. You're not getting Trey Sermon running against you. You're getting, James Cook and a much better running back and a much better offense. So I'm worried about this matchup in general. I think even if you are successful on offense to another point, like it's going to be tough to contain Buffalo's squad.
I think the interesting thing about this game is the previous head coach wins games like this every once in a while. You know, like the Mike Vrabel, you're nobody in the national media thinks you have a chance, and you go out there and you smoke somebody that you're a touchdown dog to. What is the Brian Callahan personality when it comes to that?
We haven't seen it yet. I mean,
we haven't
the one game
this
that
is
you
the first
won
chance.
the one game that you won was kind of a gimme game in Miami because you had Tyler Huntley on like 8 days of practice starting.
Yeah, they were favored. They were favored against the Colts. Like, I think they were favored against the Packers with Malik. They were
favored against the Packers and they lost that game. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. They were like the spread in Chicago was like 3.5. Like they've played in like the 2.5, 3.5 either way window. Like this is the first time that they've been a big time dog.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is you get Caleb Williams, who's been awesome the last 3 weeks, but was like horrific to start and was just really, really struggling make the adjustment. But you got Caleb Williams at the right time You lucked out and got Malik Willis. You lucked out and got Tyler Huntley. You had to play Joe Flacco, who, if you had told me at the beginning of the year that they'd be getting Joe Flacco instead of Anthony Richardson, I'd be like, well, at least simplifies the defensive game plan, and you're still 1-4. And
the
not
defense,
that,
the defense.
I mean, it's not the
job.
defense has been okay, but like that's my point is that the defense has kept you in games because of your opposing quarterbacks, and you've still found a way to lose. And this could be a game that you do score 24 points, as Callahan has said is your objective, and you end up getting Josh Allen.
The Titans have had so many gifts from the schedule and the football gods, and they have not done anything.
No,
they beat the Dolphins. That's it. Right. Because, week 1 against Caleb Williams, you went through that. You get the Jets on a short week, and Aaron Rodgers still trying to figure that out in week 2. That's a good gift by the scheduling makers. Then you get Malik in week 3. You get another injured quarterback in week 4. You come off a bye, you get another injured quarterback, no DeForest Buckner, and you get Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs that didn't practice much at all that week, but they still go out and beat you. It's just they have gotten so many breaks in the schedule. And Von Miller's not the Von Miller of old, but Von Miller's suspended for this game, by the NFL. And so you're still getting gifts. Amari Cooper just got traded there. Is Amari Cooper going to be ready to go in 5 days? Probably not. But they just haven't taken advantage of any of that stuff outside of Miami.
Right, which is why, it's why I'm worried about this game. As much as I would love to be like, hey, this is a trap game. I don't know. Buffalo is a good team that is continuing to get better as they get healthier, and Josh Allen is by far the best player you've had to play this season.
I do think the Bills are beatable because the Bills have had moments of looking awful, right? Like Josh Allen 9 for 30 against the Texans looking awful.
Yeah.
That's probably a big reason why they went and got Amari Cooper. But so the Bills are not perfect. They have blemishes. They can be beaten. And they can look bad too. So let's get to some super chats before you get to your bet here, Sam. Joshua says, I think Levis needs to go back to the bench and learn from the experience and maybe go somewhere else and become a better quarterback. Well, I think you don't have time for him to not play in Tennessee.
So, I could agree with Joshua's point. This could be better for Will Levis's term career if he gets benched, learns, goes somewhere else, becomes a better quarterback somewhere else. But I think the second he's benched in Tennessee, it's over in Tennessee.
Agree. It's Sam Darnold. That's the poster boy for what Will Levis wants to become.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, Geno, those type of things. Zachary Smith says, I'm sorry, why is Will holding a meeting? I feel like you have to do something to hold meetings. He's the problem. Will Levis is not holding a meeting. Nobody said that Will Levis is holding a meeting.
He's attending a meeting.
Yeah, Will Levis gets called out in the meeting. Yeah, so Zach, I don't know where you get that from. But thanks for the super chat.
Yeah.
Sam, do you have a bet for this game? For the sake of time, because I know you're in a very uncomfortable situation with a couple that you do not know that does not speak your language.
There's music on right now.
There is music.
I have my bag packed. I have my bag packed. I am walking. I'm getting off this call with you, shoving my laptop in my bag, and leaving this hotel, and I will not be returning.
Hilarious.
I will go sit and wait for my ride to Buffalo at a local coffee shop or something. I'm leaving this building. So I have two bets.
I'm gonna say my bet for the pregame show, so you can get to that coffee shop and get your bagels quicker.
Yeah, I got two bets real quick. One Titans bet, one Bills bet. And I'm gonna go on the guy I just mentioned, Josh Allen, passing yards over 213.5. I know the Titans have been one of the top passing defenses in the league, which is probably why that number has come down a little bit. But I do think Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir is back now. I don't know if Amari Cooper is planning to play or not, but I see this being a game that the Titans maybe prioritize stopping the run a little bit. And I think Josh Allen's going to hit him for a couple of explosives. So I would take Josh Allen's over on 213.5. Titans bet. I don't feel comfortable really betting anything on this offense. I don't really feel comfortable betting on anything on this defense. So I'll take a random shot, feel like there's going to be chaos that ensues, and Will Levis will rush for over 13.5 yards.
Yeah, I mean, Levis had 15 yards early in the game against the Colts rushing.
I think, I don't, maybe like he might just make a couple plays with his legs as he tries to keep this offense. Like if the offense is frisky for like a quarter and they stay in the game, Levis over 13.5 or even late, right? Maybe they're down 2-3 scores and they're just like trying to score some points, and the Bills are dropping back in a more conservative defense and Will's able to pick some stuff up. But yeah, I don't really feel confident betting any of the running backs just because of the world. And if they're playing from behind, does it ruin the rushing totals? I don't. The receivers are an anomaly to me. So I'll go with Will Levis's rushing yards because why not?
I kind of think that's the only offensive prop you can bet for the Titans right now. I think I'm with you.
That's what I'm saying. Everything else is uncomfortable. Like even if you're like, oh, D-Hop 38 yards, I'm like, I hate it. I hate every bit of it.
Yes.
Calvin Ridley at 30 yards for whatever would be like, oh yeah, lock normally, but I hate it. So
I'm trying to pull something up real quick because I think you might be onto something. Like, what is the most consistent game by game stat outside of Will Levis throwing an interception, which is probably too juiced up to actually take it as a single bet. You have to parlay that thing. Will Levis rushing yards in games this season, 15-5 against Miami because he only played 11 snaps, but he still had 5 in 11 snaps, so he would have gone over it. 12 against the Packers, 38 and 36.
Yeah, there has never been a game that Will Levis doesn't like take off and run once, twice, 3 times. So that's what I'm most confident in.
In the Packers game, he got sacked 8 times, or he probably would have ran the ball more.
True. I think that Miami game he ends up running for a lot of yards if he stays in that game.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. All right, so there's your so over 13.5 is the Will Levis rush number for the week.
Minus 110 on BetMGM.
I think that's a good number. I think it's a good bet to place. So I'll keep that in mind. We'll see how that happens. At Sunday pregame show, Easton and I at 11:30 Central, right before kickoff. Sam, you'll be in Buffalo at the game, covering it with Buck. So make sure that you guys get all of Sam's coverage from up in Buffalo. But it's now time to flip it to good news. Here we go. That good news. Shout out to Wilson County Hyundai here live on this Friday. Go check them out for your new car buying process. WilsonCountyHyundai.com. See them in Lebanon as well. Say hey to Payne Bone for us. Save money on the new ride. WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Sam, good news. If you want to read good news in the chat, you can toss your good news in the chat. Do you have good news? And your good news, I don't want it to be the fact that you're leaving this place as Braden brings it up, but like that is good news. But do you have other good news besides the fact that you get to leave this current hotel situation?
I mean, outside of the good news of the fact that I'm leaving New York City, New York City was fun. Like, I mean, like the event Wednesday was great. It was a great event. Glad I went to the event. Glad I was in this city for that event. I can give you that good news because it really was a good time. I mean, it was like you said, it was a live watch party earlier. So had a lot of the cast out here from Survivor 47 watching the show together. There was a whole group of alumni, up to 40 or 50 alumni from the show's history that were in attendance as well. And then a couple hundred fans in a theater to watch the episode and have a watch party, and then some meet and greet stuff afterwards. So it was a lot of fun. I had a great time, and it lived up to my expectations and hopes for the event. So yeah, that is good news. The other situations outside maybe a little bit more non-ideal, but the overall good trip, good pit stop in New York City as we head up to Buffalo for some more Titans action.
All right, so Orlando's got Survivor good news. I have not watched this week, so I have no idea what. I mean, I know what happened, but I don't really know how. But Orlando says good news. Sam made it to the merge. Bad news. He's definitely being gunned for now. I look, maybe not. I have no idea. Jason, good news. Didn't spend a top 5 pick on Anthony Richardson like the Colts did. Ethan says, good news. Great week of college tomorrow between Texas and Georgia and Tennessee, Alabama. Hopefully Tennessee wins. Yeah.
Okay. So this whole my other good news, because I
Oh,
forgot to mention this. I think college football right now is as good as it has ever been.
yep.
And I have been like, this is a victory lap for me, Austin, because I've been standing on my soapbox for a minute now, talking to the college football purists out there saying, expand the playoff, allow the transfer portal, NIL. These are good things for the sport. And I love the conference realignment, right? And people hated it. And we complained and we moaned and we said, where's my 2001 college football? I want my 2001 college football back.
Give
I
me my
want my
BCS computers back.
exactly. I need my BCS. And I think what we are starting to see, maybe outside of Texas, is that nobody's unbeatable, right? All of these teams have faults and flaws and can go down to absolutely anybody. And what used to be a large disparity from the best teams to even the 20th best team is now right here. And I think it makes for a very fun sport. A lot more teams that are still in it here as we, are halfway through October, looking towards November, with a lot of college football teams still in the hunt for a championship. And this is why, all of these changes have been good for the sport. So, I feel very vindicated by it, and I'm loving the product that is college football every week right now.
The product, you're right, has never been better. It is the most entertaining year of college football ever. I don't try to come up with 2007, whatever. This is the best year of college football viewing. There are some very, very big problems that have to be ironed out, like a guy saying, hey, coach, give me more NIL money. My hamstring's feeling tight. Like that, because that stuff's happening at a lot of schools. There are some things that have to be fixed because that's not okay. And there are some like weird stuff going on. But the drama, that it's like soap opera stuff.
Yeah.
It's not good for the people that are doing it, but the audience is like tuning in like, oh my God, let's do this.
We've talked about it on the show. I'm an NFL guy. I'm not a college football guy. I've watched more college football this year than I ever have before, because I find it so much more interesting. And I'll stay up till midnight and watch Ashton Genty run for Boise State and know that, this isn't just some good running back who plays in the Mountain West. This is some running back that could win the Heisman because his team might end up in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And like that to me is the difference where, it's great. It's great.
All right. Jon Snow. Good news. Harvest went well and finally have time to paint the nursery for the wife. There you go. Zachary Goodman. Good news. Heading to Nashville for Post Malone this weekend. Ooh. Zach Goodman. Wait. I got something for you. You can take a boat to the concert. I saw this. Nashville Water Taxi is doing rides to Broadway for the concert. So if you want to do that, that would be fun. So normally they've been doing that for the Titans games, but I saw them promoting on their Instagram that you can get a ride for the Post Malone concert coming up this weekend. Let's see more good news. I'm trying to find some good news that's not college football related. Dre the Barber. Good news. Me and my lady have made it past the first trimester of her pregnancy. First baby for her. Super excited. Very, very good. Very, very good. First baby for her. Not so rapid reaction. Good news. I got our power back on Monday after Milton knocked it out for 5 days. Glad to see you back. That's got to be brutal, man. Brutal stuff. Let's see. D. Christoffel says, good news. We all woke up another day and still have sports. Shout out Malik Willis. James, every meeting should be emergency meeting at this point. It's funny. My good news. What?
Sorry, what's your good news? I'm antsy.
My good news is the fact that it didn't happen. It's the same thing of like what tomorrow represents. It is Tennessee, Bama, Georgia, Texas. I've had this thing circled since Tennessee beat Oklahoma and since Alabama beat Georgia of October 19th. It's going to be badass. Now, Vanderbilt got in the way and Arkansas got in the way. So it's not 2 top 5 matchups. It should be 2 top 10 matchups, but Tennessee got jobbed and got dropped to 11 when Bama didn't drop after their escaping of South Carolina at home. So I cannot wait. I honestly cannot wait to sit on my outdoor couch and pull up my TV outside when it's 50 degrees outside and watch about 8 straight hours of Tennessee, Alabama, and Texas, Georgia.
Which
That
game's
is what,
first?
huh?
Which game's first?
Tennessee, Bama.
Okay, I'm worried.
You're getting choppy.
Oh, I'm worried for you.
Yeah, I don't know what you're saying. You there?
And then I can see fine.
Well, you're a robot now. So we will let you go ahead and leave your environment and save yourself from the couple that you're sharing the space with. So that's it for us. Make sure you hit the like button, like the show before you go. Sam's head out to Buffalo, so he'll get ready for some great coverage with Buck in Buffalo for Titans at Bills.